Oh, g'day. Yeah, caught me playing with me wood. But no, this video is not about the bounty. No, there'll be another video out soon about the bounty. I've been working on the captain's windows. This video is about, oh goodness me, it's so big. This is about the Fuso, right? This is the Fujimi kit, and it is a rip snorter. It's a pretty hard kit to get hold of, at least for a decent price. I mean, you know, there's some real expensive versions of this going on out there. People want an arm, a leg, a kidney, and a cornea. But I managed to get this for a reasonable price, and I am over the moon. Because I really didn't think I'd be buying any more ships. I thought, pretty well got everything I'll ever want, you know, in the stash. Well, you know, famous last words. Anyhow, the Fuso came up, and I snapped it. So would you like to see what's inside this? I know I would. Okay, roll the music. So it's a Fuso, and as you can tell, I'm pretty excited. I have wanted this kit for so long, but the prices have been ridiculous. I mean, you can buy like a Tamiya Bismarck for maybe 10 shekels here, you know, cheaper, second hand. I think I only paid 5 for mine, and then realised it wasn't that good a kit and got rid of it. But anyhow, 10 shekels for a Tamiya Bismarck, right? You'll pay, you know, 20 shekels for a really good quality ship of some description. You'll pay 50 shekels for one of these. No kidding. As much as that. That's what they're bloody asking for these things by the time you pay the postage and get them in the country from Japan, although you can't get them into Japan at the moment because of the virus. No, they won't actually send them to you. So they're there at a price you can't afford and they can't send them to you. Anyhow, this one turned up on Facebook of all places, and the guy was only asking 25 shekels delivered. I was amazed. Snapped it up straight away. I mean, you know, I spent my food money for the month. Bask and I are living on baked beans and tins of fish. She's not really enjoying the beans, though. Now, what's good about this ship? Well, 6 turrets. I kid you not. 6 turrets, and they can all do a broadside. So this thing can have 12, because each turret is twin, right? This can have 12 guns on a broadside. I don't know if the bloody thing is sort of turned turtle if they all went off at the same time, but it is theoretically possible, which is just amazing. Amazing amount of armour. Now, laid down in 1914, although it didn't participate in World War I, it just patrolled up and down the China Sea. But then in the 1930s, they started modernising, and that's where they started to get the Pagoda bridge area here. It was pretty simple to start with, like most of those World War I type battleships. It was a fairly simple sort of superstructure. Everything got a bit more complicated. They went the whole full Pagoda here. They added a whole lot of belt armour on there. She went up from 192 metres long to 212 metres long, which is a fair size. It's a fair size, about the size of King George V. So, you know, she wasn't bad in that, certainly not as big as Yamato or a Bismarck or anything like that. No, but still quite a good ship. Not as wide, only about 30 metres wide, so, you know, pretty narrow in the beam. Battle cruiser, really. Think battle cruiser. I mean, she had 14-inch guns in her, so it wasn't sort of up with those, you know, the heavier guns of the other ships in World War II, especially when you get to Yamato, which has got, what, 18-inch guns or something? Bloody huge. And, you know, most of the other guys were running 15, 16-inch guns. So she was a bit underpowered. She was a bit sort of narrow and had a bit of speed, about 25, 26 knots, which was good in its day, and still not too bad later on. So she did quite well for herself, but eventually she was sunk on the 25th of October in 1944. So she had a 30-year reign, which is not too bad for a ship. One series of refits in the middle. But I just love the look of it, okay? So there's a history, and you can read more about it, okay? I love the look of this, and probably because this kit is, I think it's the only 1/350 scale Fuso that you can buy, unless Combrick do a resin one. But in plastic, as far as I know, this is the only plastic injected moulded one around. And because of that, yeah, the prices soar, and they Fujimi spits a few out of the factory every now and then, and those come out, as I say, they'll be about 40 shekels if you bought them in Japan, but another 10 shekels to get them here. So we're paying 50 shekels, which is 500 Australian dollars, to get one of these, you know, if you do it that way. So yeah, snapped it up for half the price. Fantastic. All right, well, that's enough of that. You can see I really like this kit. Let's open the box and have a look at what's inside, because I'm dying to have a look at all the detail in this kit, because from what I understand, it is probably one of the most detailed ship kits around in plastic. I know aftermarket kits in resin and photo etch, everything are fully detailed. But for a plastic injected kit, this is full on. Let's have a look. There we go. It is a big model, and this is an A1 cutting mat that I've got. It's the biggest one that I can buy, and it just barely fits on it. It is a big kit. So what is inside? Oh, I suppose you want to see all the pictles while inside. Well, look, there's lots of pretty pictures. You get to see what it's going to look like, and it's absolutely gorgeous, right? And yeah, look, plenty of them online. You can have a look. Beautiful, beautiful kit, beautiful kit. Now, your manual is not the book style one. It's one of those calendar ones. Folds this way, but it's not too bad. You get some lovely photos. So you get some lovely reference material there of how she looks. That's really good. Everything seems to be sort of labelled in Japanese. It's just Japanese character, I believe. As far as I know, Fujimi is a Japanese company. So you're really not getting a lot of English. There's just a little bit here. That's basically telling you what to do. Yeah, this is actually this is all English. There you go. So there's English paragraphs here, just basically telling you the do's and don'ts. You get a colour call out, but I mean, it's Battleship. The hull is red. The decks are sort of a woody colour, and the rest of it's grey. Yeah, okay. You might put a little bit of black on the the barrels, but yeah. I don't know why they bother. I really don't know why they bother. But anyhow, the build-up is quite good. We'll go into that in detail in a sec. We'll have a look at all of that. There's quite a lot of support structure built in, which I really love. And this is, this is not a new kit by any means. It's been out for quite some time. So, yeah, all that support structure's in there, which means the whole thing's not going to warp and sag and go out of shape over years. Once you've built it, it should stay together. They always want you to put on all the bits and pieces like the screws and all the prop shafts and everything. Now I always find that's probably not a good idea, so I'll always bump them off. But I usually leave all that till later. I mean, I might paint it all up, but aircraft, well, the aircraft sub-assemblies are there as well now, but again, I probably wouldn't do those. Anyhow, we'll go through this in detail in a sec, but I'm just giving you sort of an overall look. It's quite a comprehensive manual. And although the calendar style thing, you think, well, that's a bit strange, but it is, everything's long and thin. It's a battleship. So maybe it does work. Maybe it does work. But there is a lot to go on. One of the interesting things with this kit, as opposed to a lot of other battleship kits, is just about all the greebles, all the little bits and pieces and the little vents and funnels and hatches and little lockers and everything that you put on the deck, right, is actually a separate part. Normally, in a lot of the other kits, most kits, it's moulded onto that deck. So if you want to paint your deck, you've got to mask up around all these little widgets, or you've got to come back later and detail paint them all in. Not so with these Fujimi kits. Everything's separate. But it does mean there's a heck of a lot of tiny fiddly parts. That's all right. That's all right. We'll cope. So basically you're up to step 11, step 12 before you're even putting any armament on. So yeah, step 12, finally you've got all those widgets and bits and pieces on the deck. Then you're making up, you're putting in some of the tertiary armament there, little machine guns, and you're putting in some boats, and now we're building up primary armament, step 14, and as I said, there are 6 turrets. It's quite a lot to do. Then you get into that pagoda style superstructure. So that's going to be a lot of fun. Lot of stages in that. A lot to do, a lot to add. So we'll have a look at that a bit more detail shortly. So yeah, that's going all the way through here. Step 18 before finally you're putting your sub-assemblies together. So yeah. There's a lot of fun to be had with this. A lot of fun. And finally, the ship even comes with pedestals. Right? So that's nice. And we're putting on the cranes. I'm going to get photo etch catapults and cranes. And it's just me. I've actually bought a generic set for Japanese battleships. So it'll do for 2 or 3 of these sort of ships that I've got. Now just flipping through, it looks like that's the end of it there, but actually it wasn't. It fooled me. There's some photographs of the model actually finished, which is handy, so you can see that. You can see basically how all the pieces fit together. So it's lovely. And then finally you get the spring mount. It's interesting. It's right here at the back. So there's quite a lot here. All the parts are numbered, which is really good. Very nice, clear drawings, very easy to see. So when you are searching for all those little parts, it's going to be very easy to find them. So well done, Mr. Fujimi. That is a terrific resource right there. And then finishes off with a lovely shot there of those 14-inch guns there, all pointing broadside. Lovely. Okay, let's get on and have a look at the parts inside this kit. Everything is in its own bag, which is terrific. So all the plastic parts, each sprue is in its own bag. That's absolutely terrific. So we'll get those out in a sec. I'm just going to go through this quickly before we have a look at any detail. So that hull is gorgeous. Even though she's a fairly narrow, very narrow ship, that is still a great size. Really is quite good. I'll probably have to buy a display cabinet to put this thing in. It's so big. That, well, there's your boats. So that's your boats and your aircraft. They're all clear. And your searchlights. So that is terrific. Okay, we'll look at that shortly. Stand. So there is your pedestals. So you can paint those up a nice colour. They're probably good enough. Well, they are. You know, you basically paint those brass if you like. That's probably what I'll do. I probably wouldn't spend any money on anything else. I might put some lead inside them or something to give it a bit of weight, just so that it doesn't get, can't be tipped over by cats. Boats and armament. You've got those will be all of your guns. Yeah, you've actually got. Well, you've got 8. You've actually got 8. You really only need 6. So you can whack another 2 on and make it an incredibly powerful ship. You've got these could be, they're slide molded. Got a few little slide molded parts. So that looks like a funnel, and you've got some superstructure pieces. Lovely, lovely. So we'll get these all out of the bag shortly, but I'm just having a quick look. So you've got cranes, and you have got cradles and catapults, and you have got some screw props and rudders and things. They're all in that sprue. Those are all the supports inside the hull that'll make it nice and strong. That is terrific. Now here, we actually got a couple of things in this sprue, but that's, in this bag, that looks like secondary armament, and yeah, and it could also be, that's our gun. Is that our gun barrels or the other one? Don't know. Superstructure parts, they're all together. Isn't it nicely organised that things are there? Some more slide moulded parts, and these will be superstructure parts. They look terrific. More, there'll be tertiary armament. Yep, tertiary armament. These will probably be the guns we haven't talked about, which will be on the side of the hull. You have got, well, there's your funnel. So I'm not sure what the other part was. Must be another superstructure. You've got funnel. You've got, looks like torpedo tubes or something like that. Boy, you've got a lot of stuff here, and it is very nice. We'll look at that. Oh, look, it goes on. There's a little star structure, which will go on the top of your superstructure. You've got your masts there, and your supporting poles for that pagoda. It's all terrific. Rangefinders, yeah. Oh, look, lovely. Even the deck, which is in one piece. Look at that. It is a one-piece deck. Even that has its own bag. I mean, usually that's sort of floating around loose in a lot of kits. That is beautifully modelled. We'll look at that shortly. In this version, I also have the genuine Fujimi wood deck and some photo etch there for the stern, which is basically where the aircraft are going to be launched from. So there's a few things there, and that's probably for the anchor chains as well. So that's nice. I don't know if I've got an anchor chain in there. Don't know. We'll have a look. We'll get open that in a sec. We've got a stick-on nameplate, a whole lot of flags we can have a lot of fun with. So there we go. There is our chain, and that is with some, looks like some decals as well. So you've got everything. You've got all kinds of stuff to play with. That is terrific. And we've got some adjustments here. Oh, look, they're telling you. It's one of those things where something's happened and they've made a slight alteration to the kit. Because this kit has a number of numerations. I mean, there's various versions of it, but they all seem to be pretty well exactly the same kit. But I'd say over the years they've found a few things that need fixing. Oh, one last little sprue. Oh, we've actually got some translucent, not quite white, but sort of an opaque sort of thing here. They look like plugs for guns. And then you've got we've got some horses here. Not no, these are the horse holders where your chains run through and things like that. I think. Anyhow, there's a few extra little widgets, so isn't that good? That's obviously what this is about. It's telling you there's some additional things that you can add for this version. Wow, how about that? Then, just when you thought you couldn't get any more and it couldn't get any better, look at this. Oh, we won't be able to get it all in one shot, I don't think, but we have a full fold out colour guide. So that shows us everything. So that'll just be good for knowing where all these widgets go. Because, you know, as good as instructions can be, often it's a little hard to follow what's going on. So a bit hard to get that without it getting any shine off the lights. But that looks terrific. So yeah, and it's to scale, I think. Yeah, I think that's actually the size of the kit. So you'll be able to just double check that you've got everything, even down to, can you see there? It's letting you know that that is the green. So that is starboard. Yep, that is the starboard side light on the ship. So this side will have a red one for port. Yep, there you go. Oops. So yeah, look at that. Normally we forget that. This scale, you kind of forget those kind of identification sort of lights and markings. So that is the level of detail that they have put into the instructions. So the plastic is going to be just as nice. Let's have a look. Now I'm doing a little dry assemble of this kit, and I thought I'd show you this. So unusual. Normally you've got your sprue and it's attached to either the outside or joining on, so you know, basically be very careful cutting because it's going to wreck some of it, or it's sort of on the inside and it's again fairly close to it. This is different. It's hooked around. You see that? It is hooked around so that you just reach in and it comes away clean. So now all I've got is this little burr here to remove, and it's not shown ever on the kit. It's not on the outside, it's not on the edge. Why can't all sprues be like that? That is just terrific. So all I've got to do now is get in there with a knife and, you know, and I probably don't even need to because this will probably disappear. It's below the deck and it'll probably never be seen. That is fantastic. Okay, on with the dry fit. So these are the support structures that go inside, but as you can see, it's going to be a beautiful fit. And I've had to do so little cleanup. I mean, it's just off the sprue, put together fine because of the way they've engineered it with those very, very clever sprue points or injection points. So let me cut these off and put the support structure in. I'll just dry fit it together, see how it looks. Now this part is C3, which again is a bit of support here either side of the hull, but it also has these little sort of arms hanging off here, and I thought, what's that all about? And then I put it in, and not only is this going to be very good at spacing and supporting the hull and making sure that the deck sits firmly on top, but it then becomes the pivot point for all your secondary armament. See? They sit in there. So that gives a very strong and secure spot for that turret to sit, because there'll be little turrets all along here. So isn't that clever? It is a wonderful piece of engineering. Well done, Mr. Fujimi. Well, I'll get on and get all these pieces in, and we'll see how this hull fits together. Well, that was fairly easy, and they went in perfectly. You just got to watch the order, because it's not 1, 2, 3, 4. They're not in numerical order. You kind of, this is C9 and that's C10, and then there's C2 and 3, but then it jumps around. Just got to watch your order as they go in. But I think I've got them right. So now the moment of truth is, do the two halves fit together? So see how we go. Starting here, moving along. That one seems to fit there, fit there. it'll be one down here that's pushing everything out of whack. Those are all joined. Oh, there's a nice little click. There we go. Oh, that's nice and strong. And this is the thing, you know, some of the kits you get have very little support structure in the hull. You just glue the hull together, put the deck on, and that's supposed to be enough. But by the time you've added paint and wood decks and, you know, photo etch and everything else, it can add up. That's quite a bit of weight. So, look at that. On she goes. Perfect fit. No glue. Who needs glue? So there you go. The detail is very subtle on the side of the hull. You have got some marks there. You've got some little ladders. More pronounced here at the bow. I don't know how much you're going to see on camera. But there is some very nice portholes. Nice detail. Even the plating on the ship is scored and marked. And if you'd watched my videos on like the Varag, I actually had to put strips on afterwards to try and get that effect, because hulls aren't perfectly smooth. They're all plates that overlap and push into each other, and it's already done for you. It is beautifully moulded. The add-on here from the 1930s of the extra armour, that's all done beautifully. The deck is very nice. I mean, if you just wanted to paint it, you don't want to use the wood veneer, that is lovely. There are some greebles and hatches. I thought just about every one of those was glued on, so there will be a little bit of masking and painting, but not a lot. Little shields are on there too. So, yeah, I thought just about everything you glued on. I know there's a lot. I mean, you can see all the holes. See all the holes. They're all things we're going to have to put in place. But if you just wanted to paint that deck, you've got a wonderful relief there in the plastic scoring. It's quite good. And they've even done the right thing. You probably can't see this, but the deck plank ends, right? Quite often a lot of the models, and even a lot of us incorrectly do it, we sort of alternate, well, a join, a plank across, a join, so on. They're not like that in ships. There's always 2 or 3 spaces. They're never that close with the join, and they've done that here. They've put, basically it's a rotation of 3. So there's a join, 2 planks that are staggered, join. That is really nice. That's good detail. They've done a lovely job there. So look, that is the dry fit of the hull and the deck, and it's, apart from the fact sort of popping up at each end, there's a tiny little bit of warping there, but not much. Now I've just had a look at the add-on extra, the wood deck, which comes with photo etch. And as I was saying before about those gun shields being there, well, they actually want you to cut them off. If you're going to use the wood deck, which I will be, you'll be cutting those off, just like I did with the Arizona. I remember seeing that. There was a lot more work, a lot more to remove in the Arizona. But yeah, you'll be cutting off those and the boat cradles. You're removing those because they supply photo etch parts for those. So that's good. But the wood deck is exquisite. I hope you can see there. Now I was sort of going on about the spacing of the deck planks, right, on the plastic parts, and they were doing about a 1 in 3. Well, these are a 1 in 4, 1 in 5, which is far more accurate. It's beautifully done. The scoring of the decks is just terrific. So if you've never noticed that, real ships don't have the decks, you know, alternately with the plank joints. It's not how they are. Ships aren't like that. There are some areas that are like that, but generally speaking, especially on large ships like this with great big decks, it doesn't happen. It doesn't even happen on the sailing ships. There's always a stagger. 4 or 5 is quite good. 3 is acceptable. So, yeah, that is so nice. So, very realistic deck. Probably one of the nicest wood decks. It's certainly very fine, and it's not cartoonish. It hasn't got, like artworks always have little edges and lines and things sort of drawn on them, which I find quite horrible. It does sort of have some of them here, but they're probably important there, and there's a reason for that. Fujimi have just made this to fit their kit perfectly, so it's one of the few that I've cut it out and it's gone on absolutely spot on. So I was quite surprised with that. Didn't take much to cut it out either. The parts literally just popped straight out. There was just a little bit of the film on the back there, because this part, of course, has has a film on the back which you will remove, and there's a sticky side, and I'll show you how to do that. I've shown that in other videos, but when I build this, I'll show you exactly how to do that. Now moving on to the plastic, and this is F-sprue. It has the screws, the prop shaft, the rudders, but not only that, you'll also find the davits, the booms, the anchor, and the catapult. Now that's not badly moulded. You'd get away with that. The detail there isn't too bad, but of course I'll go with PE anyway, because it's my want. Now moving on to the clear sprue, S sprue, for seacraft and searchlights. Yes, look at that. Your aircraft will build up nicely and you'll be able to see inside. You'll have a clear glass on the cockpit. Now look at these searchlights. They're clear with clear lenses, so no need to do that silver trick. You'll be able to see through them. They will be brilliant. Okay, the next sprue is N sprue, and this is all your greebles and things on the deck. I counted over 150 things that you're going to need to cut out and put on the deck. It is that detailed. Now, O sprue here has a secondary armament. Now, they are slide molded and hollowed out. How about that? So those are the side guns on the side of the ship. So nicely done. Now this is Z sprue. Again, heaps and heaps and heaps and heaps of little guns. I counted about, there's at least 50 to 60 of these things you need to assemble, because they're all made out of 2 or 3 parts, and then put on your deck. 43 single, 4 twin mounted, and 16 doubles, and another 6 triples. There's a lot. There's a lot of these. So that'll slow you down a bit, yeah. So that's the detail you'll get in X sprue. Moving along now, we'll move to L sprue, and there's the turrets. They are fantastic. Very clear, very sharp. They'll be the focal point for the ship, and they need to be. That is something that's a feature on this. Slide molded barrels, all of them, hollowed out. Fantastic. You even get the blast bags there as well. So that should really make all that primary armament pop. Moving on now to the superstructure, and this is basically the L, M, and D sprues. Now, the detail is fantastic. Look at the top of the funnel there. Look at the fineness with that moulding and some of the superstructure lattice work there. It's good. It's really good. Photo etch will be a little bit better, but not by much. Now here we're seeing some of the underside of the pagoda pieces that go together to form that whole bridge. And again, detail is crisp. Slide molded a lot of the pieces so that you can actually see underneath how crisp and clear and sharp those edges are. This should look fantastic once it's put together. Now on this one, these are the support rods, if you like, or posts or masts for the superstructure. There's the star there as well. Look at the radar. Look at the radar. It's there on the right hand side of the screen. It's in 2 pieces. It's really clear, and again they've slide molded quite a few of those parts. I'm really impressed with that. Now moving along, this is some more of the additional slide molded parts, which is superstructure. I thought that was a funnel piece, but it's not. They are crystal clear and they are going to look fantastic on this kit. Look at that. Look at the detail on that. That's actually a bridge piece. That's the one that had fallen out. Very sharply molded. That is a beautiful piece, and that of course is part of the superstructure. It's not a funnel. Now moving on to P, Q and R, and also on the side there's some more of these N greebles, but P, Q and R are all the boat pieces, and they again are very nicely molded. Look at the detail there. That is going to make this ship look really good, because there's little things like the boats that you add on that really make your model pop. So that's the Fuso. What do you think? It's a great kit, isn't it? It really is. I mean, it's been out for a while. It's not a new release by any stretch of the imagination, but with the aftermarket parts, which in this case they are Fujimi genuine aftermarket parts, and I'll be throwing in a set of barrels, and I've got some photo etch on the way just for some radar dishes and cranes and everything. You could probably build it without it. It's a gorgeous kit. It really is. Out of the box. Beautiful. I mean, you just look at the photos of the ones that are done online, and a lot of people have done this model incredible justice. I can't say enough about it. Actually, I love it. It's really up high on my list, but I've got a few other things to get out of the way, so I don't expect this for a few months, but I probably would like to start this later on in the year. I really would, because it's a dream kit for me. I'd like to get into it. There's a Fuso, all dry fit together there. and I've put a couple of rubber bands on to hold down the deck. Starting to curl in the humidity here, but you get a feel for the ship and how big she's going to be. This is a lovely kit. I am over the moon with it. I hope you have enjoyed looking through at the parts and the instructions and all the details as much as I have, because it's really motivated me into wanting to build this kit, hopefully later this year. Now also, don't forget to comment, like, subscribe, yeah, all those things. Please, let me know what you thought about the video. And if you'd like to help me out so that I can do more of these sort of videos, afford to buy the kits and, basically spend more time building stuff on YouTube, well, go to my Patreon page. Become a Patreon. For as little as $1 a month, you'll get to see the videos early, you get to see them advert-free, and more than that, you get to interact with me and you get to see a lot more of the behind-the-scenes action. So, that's enough. It's goodbye from Australia, and it's hooroo from Harry Houdini.